Beers and Birds.
Run.
All right, welcome to Beers and Birds. This is the Bird Session. I'm joined with Brad 80 Style Weaver.
Hello.
And Mike Good Times Wallace.
Feeling great.
On the Skype machine is Sean Money Ball Cottrell. And on this pod, we're going to take a look at the recent roster moves as the post-Super Bowl glow wears off. Sean, what's happening?
Well, I don't think the Super Bowl glow is worn off quite yet.
Oh,
but there's a
much
lot.
like a pregnant lady, this glow stays 9 months.
There's a lot going on, though. It's actually kind of weird. I can't believe, I can't believe that free agency starts this week already.
Horrible.
Like it seems, it's crazy.
That's what I mean. It's like, hey, Super Bowl winner, you're off the team now, buddy. Thanks for being on.
Well, as fans, we're used to losing, so at some point in early January or not making the playoffs at all and sitting around waiting for 3 months for the free agency to start and seeing what the team's going to do. This year, it's like you win the Super Bowl, you have a parade, and before you know it, it's the off season already, which is just crazy.
Yeah, Nick Foles is getting peppered by questions.
I feel like the day after they won the Super Bowl, Foles was already fielding questions about where he's going to play next.
Yeah. Brandon Graham's talking about his contract. It's like, damn.
Yeah. Okay.
But
go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to say, it's already been a big week. And free agency hasn't even started yet, or the league year for that matter hasn't started yet. We had the Michael Bennett trade, the Torrey Smith trade. I guess that was it, but that's a lot. And the Cleveland Browns trade their entire team, or
I feel
reassemble their whole team.
Yeah. And the Alex Smith trade, which you almost forget about because that was over a month ago that they were announcing that. I mean, that was pretty much as the season was ending, they were announcing that, right?
Exactly. The Vikings have pretty much said that they don't like any of their three current quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's great. It's great for the NFL because for years, trades, especially player-for-player trades, weren't really a thing. And, only the Patriots and Howie Roseman would do it. But it's a huge market inefficiency in that, you have teams like, Seattle, for instance. Michael Bennett, he's getting older, but they're reshaping their team. So they're more willing to give away a guy like Michael Bennett for a 5th-round pick than they normally would be. Or you look at any trade that went on this week, and you're getting guys. Good players are being traded for low draft picks, and name a 5th-round pick that's going to match Michael Bennett's production, assuming he doesn't get hurt.
Right.
It's been a big market inefficiency, and it's good to see that the NFL is actually now taking advantage of it, because every time you get a new coach, every time you get a new general manager, they want to reshape the way they do things. Certain guys don't fit, and they could very well still be good players, but they just don't fit what that coach wants to do.
Right.
And you get them at a discount.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, I think all the trades, I don't think any of the draft pick compensation exceeded what I thought it should. I didn't even think it matched the value. I mean, people are, for 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders getting Pro Bowl level starters, whether it be because of money or age or something like that. They're acquiring these players that are high-level players. And I guess it's better to get something rather than nothing, but it just doesn't seem like the draft picks being traded, the value of the player seems to exceed the draft pick traded.
Right, even the Jarvis Landry deal, and legit, obviously I don't think the world of Jarvis Landry, but he's a valued asset. Yeah.
A 4th and a 7th? If
right,
we would
that's
have
not
the money,
a lot.
We kind of have a slot in Aguilar, but had we had a need for a slot, a 4th and a 7th, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Ajayi for a 4th-round pick. Some of it, I actually think the NFL vastly overvalues draft picks, and the general public probably does too, to some degree.
How?
The fact that you can get a player like Jay Ajayi for a 4th-round pick is crazy. In what world do you think a 4th-round pick, the chances of a 4th-round pick turning into a player like Ajayi is just slim to none. Like it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But we've lived this this lie for all these years. Like, oh, draft picks are so valuable. You have to build your team through the draft, and you do. But I mean, Jay Ajayi, 4th round pick. I take Ajayi any day of the week. Michael Bennett, 5th round pick. Again, any day of the week, I'm taking the 32-year-old.
Yeah.
Darby?
It just doesn't. It doesn't. What was Darby?
I think he was a 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was a 3rd, and Jordan Matthews.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan was just kind of a throw-in. Yeah.
Well,
But I guess at the time they were desperate for corner help. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you didn't think Jordan Matthews was as bad as he appeared to be this year. I mean, he was obviously force-fed out of necessity, but
He was just blocking Aguilar the whole time. They had to clear the slot for Aguilar.
yeah, that was kind of funny how bad a year he had, and
Well,
different.
didn't he start off
offense,
injured though
different-
too? Right? I mean,
What's
didn't he
that?
break his chest or something at the beginning of the year? Then I thought he had
I think he had a knee issue and
thought
a
he,
sternum.
Yeah, sternum, something like that. Which
Yeah.
I can't. That's got to not be fun to play on.
Yeah,
So I mean, then put that on top of everything else you're seeing, like no system, new quarterback, all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Buffalo trying to force in Nate Peterman.
But I think if he wanted to get paid the way he thought he was going to get paid, you certainly have to do a little bit better than
That ain't
what you
happening
did.
now.
And, yeah, I guess his agent looks a little foolish for not accepting that when Howie put $8 million a year on the table and he turned it down.
Oof.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's regretting
Wipe
that.
the sweat off my brow.
He's probably going to go to a different team that he feels is a good fit for him and do a 1-year deal and hope to bounce back.
I heard it mentioned somewhere Green Bay. Like
That's good for anyone's career.
Right. They might cut Randall Cobb.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they have a ton of money. Like, I think
Jordy's
I mean,
probably on his last legs.
right. I think J-Matt's like a great dynasty asset right now because I'm sure he's way undervalued.
Oh, yeah, you could probably steal him from somebody if you thought he was going to bounce back.
Right. Yeah.
If you're a J-Man believer,
I guess. I never even really liked the guy.
Well, he had I mean, I knew it was because they had to force feed him, but he still had a rather productive first couple years. Like, I mean, it was
absolutely did.
among the best of history for receivers. But the thing is, he didn't have the growth that some of these great receivers had, where they start out 500 yards, then 800 yards, then 1,200 yards. He was like 700,
like a
800,
900.
800.
Yeah.
Just kind of around the same area.
He never seemed to improve.
Right.
He just never did. I liked him. I thought he was somewhat reliable. He did have some drop issues, but we kind of knew that when we drafted him, so it is what it is. I liked him a bit, but he just never showed that he had anything special. Like, to me, he's not worth. It's almost like I think about him the same way I thought about Andre Iguodala and the Sixers.
Yeah.
He's a support player. Like, he should be a second or a third receiver, and I think he can do well in a role like that. But he just doesn't have he doesn't have any special skill set that set him apart.
Well, and he's 6'2", and he's forced to play out of the slot because whether it's acceleration or he can't get out the jam, there's something. They tried lining him up a couple times outside, and it just
never
didn't work.
works.
It just didn't work. But I mean, he ran a 4.45 40, and he's 6'2" or something like that. So I mean, you would think, and it's not all about that doesn't always exactly translate and everything. But I would have thought that there would have been a better chance of him succeeding on the outside, and he just never did.
I don't even think it's like in the realm of possibility at this point. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the Bennett trade a little bit. That was what did you guys think about that when the news first broke?
Well, I thought who's leaving then, and
right.
I think most people went towards Curry. I did too. But yeah, like you said, you hear these rumors about possibly Brandon Graham going.
My instant thoughts were like, I'm in salary cap mode, and I'm like, how do they cut $15 million in the next 4 days?
Right.
Or at the time, it was like a week and a half or something. So I found it odd that they were adding an old dude for money.
Well, Brandon Graham, it looks like only $1 million in dead cap money. So out of his $8 million salary, $7 million would come right off the books.
Okay, yeah, ugh. But I like Michael Bennett, and I think he's a nice inside outside piece. He'll get a lot of hurries.
Yeah,
should have a good year or
I
two
would
left.
think
Got
in
a lot
him.
of sacks.
Chris
He gets sacks.
Chris Long is counting like somewhere around $2 million, so he's probably staying.
Yeah.
Obviously, Derek Barnett's staying. They are too.
Before Carson's contract is up and he's ready to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, maybe highest paid player.
I think
They need to
before
get everything
then,
they can in now.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's like next year is also a point of emphasis as well, because they're going to be up against the cap again, and they have, you have Darby, you have Hicks, you have Ajayi, all coming up for big contracts that they won't have money to re-sign. So they're going to lose some of their depth next year. So I do think that next year you got to make a run at it again. You're losing only a couple players from last year's team.
Get that back to back.
Yeah. So I think definitely the Carson year they're going to be forced to pair back then, but I think next year's one too, where they're going to lose a couple free agents, that make us kind of special. So I think they're going for it.
The other thing is too, you think about this defensive line. They clearly want to. They clearly put an emphasis on building depth in the defensive line and being able to throw waves of pass rushers at the quarterback. And, on the surface, you can say, all right, if we lose Vinny Curry, it's not the end of the world. He wasn't the most productive guy. Derek Barnett's probably ready to play. But you're losing that guy that can come in, take like half the game snaps, keep everybody fresh. And Curry was fairly effective. I think he only had, 3.5 sacks this year, but according to PFF, he had just as many quarterback pressures as Brandon Graham.
He did 41.
So he was effective this year. And the other thing is, you think about, all right, maybe losing Curry isn't the worst thing, but then you have Chris Long, who's probably gone the year after that, and then all of a sudden you're looking at Brandon Graham's contract being up, and how are you going to make this all work with Wentz's rookie contract coming to an end? So I think being able to add Bennett just gives them another option, gives them another someone to throw out there to keep the strength of the defense, the strength, and don't let it waver. Because let's be honest, I mean, the defense was good, but it was driven by the defensive line, and that was
that's
clear
the
all
skeleton
season.
key that makes it work, right? So
Well,
we're all in agreement. We're for it.
Any chance, you guys think any chance that they try to keep all 5 DNs?
What, including Curry? I can't imagine that.
I don't know where else they would pair money.
I mean, I think it's certainly possible, but I don't know how they do it aside from cutting Jason Peters, maybe. But which I don't think they're going to do either.
No, and he's
because
kind of
I
a
think
deal.
Right now they're $9 million over the cap.
Well, the Torrey Smith took $5 million out of that away, essentially.
Well,
He's counting that.
It doesn't, because Torrey Smith and Bennett essentially canceled each other out.
Oh, okay.
So that's $9 million. That leaves about $9 million. And the other weird thing about the situation is that when the league year starts on Wednesday, I think
The 14th. That's right.
the league year, you have to be under the cap by 4 p.m. that day.
That's right.
So you have to be. These trades don't go into effect till
Or what?
after the league year starts.
You get taxed.
So they have. That's what I don't know.
Or
I
you
don't know
lose
what
draft
actually
picks, or-
happens. I'm not sure. You might get. Didn't the Cowboys and Redskins get in some trouble? Like gave up draft picks or something like that recently, or
their like collusion type thing.
lost a cap. Maybe that was something different.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what happens, but it's kind of weird because the trade. Obviously, they made the trades, but the trades won't go into effect till after the league year starts. So they still have to cut all that salary, and then the trades will be in effect, which is weird.
And
So
Well, I guess the nice thing is, though, you have to get to the cap, but you don't have to account for the rookie salary at that time, even though you're going to allot $5 or $6 million towards rookies.
yeah, I think the rookie salary is already built into that.
Oh, it is.
So yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's what made it strange with the Torrey Smith trade, because Torrey Smith was an easy $5 million coming off the books. But now that they traded him instead of cutting him, they don't
lose that money.
It doesn't happen. That money doesn't go into effect until after the league year. Now they still have to clear his salary. So So it was kind of a weird that they did the trade. I guess they thought like they're getting. I mean, the value that they got from the trade, which I
phenomenal.
thought was awesome.
Morally, right?
And obviously Howie's not too concerned, and he'll make it work. But
Yeah.
I've got to imagine Vinny's $5 million of that savings wise.
But it goes up after June 1st, and it goes up if it's a trade. So it's $5 million if you cut him now.
Yeah,
It's more than that if you trade him. You save more. And if you cut him after June 1st, you save more. But
Okay.
that's the June 1st thing's probably not going to happen because we can't wait for
I don't
free
think so.
agency to pass by and all this other stuff to go by and cut him later. It doesn't help us now. We still have to get below
It sounds like
Right.
even if they traded him, it wouldn't help because that wouldn't come into effect until after the league year started.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they sort of got boned on that. But I mean, they did get something for somebody they were just going to cut. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't count against the money, but they did get something.
I just thought it was weird because he seems to be a clone of every non-Ronald Darby cornerback we have.
So you're not.
Oh,
in love with
Daryl
it?
Worley.
The cornerback, we got for
Yeah.
Torrey Smith.
He does. That's most of
Which-
what I know about
He
him.
seems like a Douglas Mills.
Yeah, which is probably why Schwartz likes him. It's probably in Schwartz's mold.
It's like,
I wonder if he's a finger wagger.
But he's good against the run. I think he's a decent player. I know the Eagles liked him in the 2016 draft. I think he was a third-round pick. And he's had over in 2 years. He's had over 25 starts. So it's good. I mean,
Yeah, he's-
regardless,
He can't be terrible.
Yeah,
he's young. He's on his rookie deal, so he's cheap. I think it's either way. It's like a no lose situation. The only loss there is, like I said, not cutting that salary immediately. Which I guess if Howie's not worried about it, but I don't know what the hell he's going to do because
right. Where's that money going to come?
$9 million.
They've got to be planning a restructure for somebody.
Hopefully Selleck. You can get something done with Selleck, maybe. Maybe a
Yeah.
restructure with Peters. I don't know.
I think they may end up letting Selleck go. I think that may be.
Or Selleck plays
Fine.
for like
I think so. What's
$10 a
Maybe
sandwich.
they'd re-sign him for cheaper afterwards.
I thought Selleck was making $5 million this year.
I think 4.
I think it's 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. There he is. Yep. Oh, 5 exactly. 4 and a $1 million signing bonus.
5 total.
Yeah.
But I think it's something like you only save, maybe the cap savings is only 4 or something like that.
Yeah, Sean has, or Mike has the salary cap, the spot track. Yeah, so they're gonna have to make some decisions, I guess, that probably somebody's gonna not end up liking. I mean, I look at this roster and I think, how can you trim $9 million without getting rid of somebody that has value for the team? And I don't know that you can do that.
We'll find out very soon.
I just hope it's not Brandon Graham. But that would be a kick to the gut.
That really would be. I like BG.
So who would you? If you
He's a team captain, great locker room guy, super productive.
Yeah, I have to think that still
Came up huge in the Super Bowl when it mattered.
They may
Really
be having
did.
talks about Graham, but I still think that Curry has to be the leader for
I agree.
getting removed.
Completely.
Curry, restructure on Selleck. Donnie Jones retiring, that saved $1.6 million. You'd be able to get a rookie in here for
Better than nothing.
for rookie minimum, whatever that is, $500,000, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Looking through that, like trying to save money, who would you cut? I mean, if McLeod's dead cap wasn't so high, I'm not in love with him. I don't think he's a great tackler. I mean, he just doesn't make enough good plays for me, but we'll see what they do. And you said they have to do this by Wednesday, Sean?
4 p.m.
Wow.
4 p.m. on Wednesday. So the next couple days are going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, teams are doing crazy things. The Browns acquired their starting quarterback of now and maybe of the future, and Tyrod. End up picking up Jarvis Landry, Demarius Randall, shipping out Danny Shelton to the Patriots for a third-round pick next year.
Did you hear? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, go ahead.
Did you hear the story about the Patriots trying to get Michael Bennett?
I did. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, what?
So-
I didn't hear what the details in that one.
No.
So apparently the Eagles had been going back and forth with Seattle for a few days with Michael Bennett. Things came to a stall, and then the talks picked back up, and they essentially agreed to a deal. And at the last minute, the Patriots come in and offer a third and a fifth, which obviously is way better than what the Eagles gave to Seattle. But Seattle chose not to accept it just because they felt like they didn't think it was the right thing to do to go back on their deal that they had just made with the Eagles.
Yeah. No way. Howie works people. Yeah.
And then it makes sense because a couple days later, they give a third and a fifth to the Browns for Danny Shelton.
Yeah. Has Michael Bennett ever played in a 3-4? Like, I don't know that.
Or a 4-3?
Or
yeah, Seattle's defense is a 4-3.
No, not Bennett.
Oh, you're talking about the Patriots. Like if he would have went there.
If the Patriots would have taken him, like where would he have? He's not an outside linebacker in a 3-4, and he's not a D end in a 3-4 either.
No, the Patriots. I think he could play D end. They'd find a place. Their Patriots aren't really 3-4 anymore. They're just a complete. I think almost every team is a complete mix now, because almost every team's putting. Everyone has a four down lineman and third downs, and in all pass situations, potentially other situations depending on personnel.
60% of the time, yeah.
It works every time.
Yep. So I don't know. Maybe they restructure Lane or something. Take his base salary, or Fletcher's, turn that $11 million base salary into like a $1 million base salary and a most signing bonus.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
he'll be around a while.
There are obviously things that they're going to have to do in a short time. I'm sure Howie has some kind of plan.
Yeah,
what he wants to get done.
But like, I think that Howie was asked about it maybe at the combine, and somebody had asked him about not having cap space, and does it like it's I don't remember what the question was, but it was essentially, does it suck not having cap space? And he was like, well, cap space is great, but there are plenty of teams out there right now with lots of cap space, but they didn't just win the Super Bowl.
Damn right. What a boss.
So, I mean, that's when I get down on it. I'm like, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I don't know how they're going to do this, and then you're like, well, wait a minute. They just won the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's true. That's essentially like, if you're going to be right at the cap or over the cap, win the Super Bowl. Like, that's the.
How many years?
It would suck if they didn't.
Oh, they have $20 million under the cap, and the season starts, and it feels like they're not even trying their best.
That was
because
Joe Banner.
Yes, it's like, why do you have all this extra space? Like, get some dudes in here.
I think we won the cap Super Bowl like 3 years in a row when Banner was
right.
here.
Yeah.
Well, Banner apparently criticized. He made some comment on Twitter. Said, like, I see we're going back to, like, right after the Michael Bennett trade, he said, I see we're going back to just signing big name guys, or some comment like that, rather than guys who are actually going to be good or something like that. And it was just it was a shot across the bow at Howie. But I mean, I think to me, it's totally different than like the dream. I saw a few people were like, how is this different than the dream team?
Yeah.
Totally different than the dream team. Totally different. First of all, the dream team is you're signing guys to massive contracts who have never played together, never played for the coaching staff, and you're building a team around those guys. Versus this time, you're supplementing one player to strengthen a position that's already a strength with a contract that he already has. It's completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was funny.
I don't know if he and Howie are friendly at all, but yeah, that did seem like kind of a pot shot there, and especially, but I don't even know why you're taking a shot at anyone in the Eagles right now. You just look like an idiot. I mean, this is probably the heyday of Howie's career, and like he's on the top. Everybody's complimentary of him, and Chip Kelly's saying he wasn't a football person looks pretty idiotic now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, a
And
lot of
he's
things Chip
actually-
Kelly did look idiotic now.
Right. Joe Banner's actually a good Twitter follow, too. I'm sad to hear he was trying to throw some shade out there.
Yeah, so we have, as far as so we've identified kind of what's going on with the cap, and we have a couple free agents. We have obviously Trey Burton, Nigel Brown, and Patrick Robinson are the big three out of those. Any hope that we can re-sign any of them, and if so, who do you guys want to keep?
I thought they're pretty interested in keeping Patrick Robertson's what I was reading. They want to keep P-Rob around.
Well, yeah, I mean he's probably the only one outside of I don't think Darby's a very good slot receiver, but I guess it could be. But yeah, he's the only one that really has slot cover skills out of all our cornerbacks.
Yeah. We don't even know if Sidney Jones can do it. We don't even know if Sidney Jones is good.
Right.
But you could end up they have 2 4th-round picks. Maybe you end up slot corners tend to last a little bit longer. Maybe you're picking somebody up. You could go
5'9", 190 guys.
Yeah.
Brandon Boykin was a 5th. Yeah.
I think Jalen Mills could potentially do it in a limited capacity. I don't think he's quick enough to get in there with the Cole Beasleys of the world, but I do think he could probably hang around with tight ends out of the slot or bigger slot receivers like Jordan Matthews types.
Yeah.
But he's a pretty good tackler, so he'd be able a lot of times slot cornerbacks have to be that overhang defender.
Yeah.
Depending on the run fits and everything. So I think he'd be able to do almost be like a big nickel type. I think he could do something like that, where he's covering tight ends and stuff, but I don't think he's quick enough. So, but that gets you half of it. If in a worst case scenario, he can do half the job. But somebody else has to be able to stay with Cole Beasley or Switzer or whoever the hell, this real shifty guys.
But if the choice was between he and Bradham, just with our linebacker depth,
I think I would
you
choose
go?
Bradham personally.
Yeah, I agree. I would too.
Yeah, I figured you could probably get away with a combination of Mills and another player to maybe get you by in the slot. And,
Right. Bradham stepped up big and made a lot of plays this year, and he's only, I believe, 27.
Yeah, and it's hard to.
I've seen the Eagles draft linebackers for a lot of years and watch it not work out over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it depends how much he wants, though. I mean,
He's 28. Okay.
somebody was telling me that he was looking for a $10 million a year contract, and
I'm thinking 6.
how could you couldn't? Yeah, I don't know that he's going to get 10, but they could never afford anything approaching 10. They can't even afford 6.
Oh, no. Yeah. Sean, what do you think there?
Agree. The other option could be trading Kendricks out of him and using that money to pay Bradham. Who would you guys prefer between those two?
Yeah, I
Probably Bradham. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bradham.
Maybe the third year's the charm for the Michael Kendricks trade block.
Yeah.
It's just it looks like you get a little bit more this year, but it seems like his contract has completely bent us from trading him. It seemed like last year was like an $8 million salary, and you only recoup $1.5 million of it or something like that if you trade him. This year you would get $4.2 million or $4.4 million back. So
Okay.
yeah, so that would be
Still, 7.5 is a high cap number for Michael damn Kendricks.
yeah.
Oh, he's got another year after this, too.
Oh, boy.
Man.
Sure
Oh,
does.
next year's 8.5?
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking Schwartz is going to stay and that's the defense you're going to run, that Bradham's the best fit out of anyone we have, then I guess you would hope Hicks. Well, I don't know. I mean, if Hicks is healthy and has a great year this year, then he's going to be gone too.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, you're going to have to start drafting. You got to draft some linebackers. And
Yeah,
hope
I think
somebody starts
linebackers
hitting,
need to be looked at, along with a third safety.
Yeah, I'm not sold on McLeod. I think he can be. You can upgrade there if you happen to get a young draft pick and see what happens. I think. So we talk a little bit about anything that surprised you at the combine. Anybody that piqued your interest for a good fit for the Eagles, or
Well, why don't we talk? Oh, did we talk about Trey Burton? I'm assuming he's gone at this point.
Yeah, we didn't address it. Yeah, I was just assuming that he's lowest on the list of those three, and there's no way with our money situation you would have money to get to him after trying to get Robinson or Bradham. But, yeah, I mean, if he goes to the right
Allen,
situation,
probably in that category too.
Yeah, Bo Allen, and that's another reason I thought they might keep 5 DNs because some of those guys can hop inside on third downs and be D tackle.
That's where Brandon Graham's fumble came from, was playing D tackle.
Yeah.
They might actually think Stephen Means can jump in at some point too.
He's not terrible.
He always seems to do well. I think he got in a game late in the season. He got a sack, I think.
Yeah, he got a sack against Dallas in the last game, and Dallas was playing their starters the whole game, so it wasn't like it was against the scout team.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You could, but one of those DN salary has to go. There's no other way to kind of make it work without cutting people from every other position.
Right. So, what do you guys? You want to talk about like the top needs? What would you guys think would be maybe top five needs across the board? I think.
I guess I'll start and say tackle depth.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends what they think of Big V, and I don't know if they're set on Big V being a future starter yet.
I would say because of the immediacy of it, linebacker would probably be number one for me. Okay. But I think long term, I agree. I think tackle depth is probably their number one need. But if the value is right, maybe in the draft, you might have to go linebacker.
It depends what you get back. If you, by the time you get rid of these players and the contracts are where they need to be. So you said only cutting the person at this point will get you below the number you need to be at?
Yeah, trades won't count until after, which is stupid. It's a stupid rule. It doesn't make any sense. Like we know we're going to trade.
They're going to have to cut somebody, regardless, or restructure.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm calling Curry and a restructure.
Probably multiple.
Yeah, I think Peters would restructure at this point.
I think he's already been on record as that he doesn't want to lose any more money. I think they asked him to last year, and he said no, and that was kind of the end of that.
Well, that's before they were Super Bowl champions.
It's true. You're right.
Yeah. I guess we're going to have to,
I'm going to keep an eye out on some of the linebackers. Like, I know a few of them, but you're right. A linebacker, maybe in, I don't know if they would spend an early one, but assuming maybe they trade back from the first or one of the fourth rounders, a linebacker's kind of needed.
You'd almost have to. I mean, with Hicks and his injury history, I don't know if he has a really good year, you're probably not going to be able to afford him. If he's injured again, I don't know that you want to re-sign him.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love Shaq Griffin in the fourth.
Yeah.
I've seen Rashaan Evans from Alabama being mocked anywhere from 20 to early second round.
Yeah.
And he'd be, there's a good chance he might not be there, obviously, but if he's there at 32, he'd be hard to turn down. I think he's a classic thumper, but he has some good athleticism to him too. Who's not just like a big, big fat guy, but
right.
I think he'd be hard to turn down because he's almost exactly what they need if he was there at 32.
Yeah, and Leighton Vander Esch is another name I'm a big fan of. If he lasted to 32,
yeah, I've seen him on the.
He's like 6'4", 250. Yeah, he's a big guy.
There's been some talk about him. Yeah,
out of Boise State. Yeah,
I do. Yeah, if one of the best players available. I mean, I feel like you get into this argument when you talk to people who draft.
Reaching
draft for
nonsense.
need, draft for best player available. But actually, what you're doing is kind of a hybrid. Because you have best players available in a couple different positions that are very close in your ranking system or whatever. So. Kind of a little bit of flexibility where it's not like you're just picking for need or you just
I think generally speaking you should always draft the best player available, but like you said, there's going to be situations where you really need a linebacker this year, and maybe at 32 there's Rashaan Evans from Alabama, and maybe there's Colton Miller, the offensive tackle from UCLA, and you think he's maybe Miller's just a little bit better than maybe you have him graded just a little bit higher than Evans, but because of the need, that kind of pushes Evans over the top. So I think you generally go best player available, but when you get into that situation when you're deciding who you're going to pick, sometimes the need can, if it's close, you shouldn't reach for somebody way down the board.
None of this
because of a need.
Jaquan Jarrett stuff again.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely on that. But then, it kind of gets warped at times, and people get like kind of bent over the coals for like quote unquote drafting for need when it's a situation like that. You have a tackle as rated a 5.91, and you took the linebacker that you rated 5.89. Is that really need based? No, I mean sort of, but the fact is your scores are so close that it shouldn't matter. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not best player available, but it's not stupid.
Right.
I mean, stupid would be doing best player available, and then you end up drafting kickers in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7 because they were the best player available.
Because you have no flexibility at all.
You could be dumb either way.
You can't be an adult.
I hate that argument when people get on that horse and they're like, "Oh, you have to draft best player available." I was like, man, it's
not that simple.
When you take that to the extreme, that's just as bad as
Right.
picking for need every time.
Right.
But
So-
we haven't had a problem with that lately, so I'm pretty happy about that.
So I think we're in agreement that what would we say, linebacker and then offensive tackle, 1 and 2.
I think we're in
Neat.
agreement.
Yeah.
What about, what would you say after that? It's a sneaky,
O-tackle
it's actually not
linebacker?
even that. Yeah, O-tackle linebacker being 1 and 2. I was going to say call it a sneaky need, but it's actually not that sneaky anymore. It's tight end.
Yeah.
For real.
You're
With
thinking like
Selleck.
another wideout?
Well,
I was thinking wide out.
You know
Yeah.
what? Tight end, I guess it depends. They brought Billy Brown back, and they signed him. And he
Remember Billy Brown?
he had a good camp last year. You don't remember Billy Brown?
No, I do.
He had a pretty good camp last year. So
Okay,
maybe
I don't
somebody-
remember that.
Just like Burton kind of developed, maybe Billy Brown's the next Burton, and you could
Maybe.
take because Burton was undrafted, right? Undrafted free agent.
I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So maybe this is your next Burton type project where you think.
I remember when the Eagles cut him, all the beat writers were saying, that was so dumb. There's no way he's getting to the practice squad. So he had a really good camp.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably looking to him, but I don't think you can rely on him though, because you never know what the hell's going to happen between now and training camp.
No, I was
So
just
you
saying.
have to
Right.
if
Like,
you're
if-
sitting there and
he's
somebody
actually
like Mike gets let's say you trade back.
Yeah.
Trade back and you're in the somewhere in the second round, and somebody like Penn State's Mike Gesicki or Dallas Goedert,
Mark Andrews from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
right? They're sitting there like that'd be hard. Or later, like in the third or fourth round, Troy Fumagalli from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They'd be hard to turn down.
Yeah, well, I
think-
mean, you have the potential of losing 2 tight ends because what if Selleck gets cut and you lose Burton?
Right,
You have
and-
1. So Billy Brown
would
maybe
be a
could be the
problem.
third.
Yeah.
Billy Brown
And in a
could be-
classic Madden scenario, it wouldn't have much of an impact because you're probably thinking like, oh, well, we got Zach Ertz, so we're fine. But realistically, the Eagles used 2 and 3 tight ends more than any team in the league this year. So that, that's something Peterson loves to do, is put those guys on the field because it creates a lot of versatility. They can block somewhat, and they can obviously catch the ball too, get out in space. So it puts defenses in a tough situation, and that would be a big impact if you didn't have the guys to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I just pulled up Player Profiler here. It is almost shocking how similar Billy Brown and Trey Burton are.
Oh, my God.
Athletically. They're
Oh, wow.
like Billy Brown's a little bit heavier, but they have this like the same movement skills, the same athleticism. That's crazy.
Can Billy Brown throw touchdowns in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, I don't know.
I guess we'll have to find out next year.
They're the same age.
age, yeah.
Was he a high school quarterback? That is the question.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna do some more paying attention here on Billy Brown.
yeah.
This will be interesting. I'm
But yeah,
excited for him.
do you think that they, with how reliant they are, that they can afford to bring Billy Brown, who's never made it,
and be the
a
number
rookie,
2?
and a rookie? So one of those two would have to be your 2, and the other would have to be your 3. So that means a lot of playing time for a rookie and a guy that hasn't made the team yet.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I think it's all going to depend on Selleck and whatever he does. I think Selleck's at the point where, like, in point in his career where he's earned the right to be able to have some say in how his career goes from this point on.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think if the Eagles released him, they do have some leverage because if they released him, I don't think he's getting picked up anywhere else.
Oh,
I think
no.
he's good. He's good in his role, and he's familiar with Peterson's offense, and he's like a mentor, locker room guy. So he has a lot of value here. Or not, I wouldn't say a lot. He has some value here. I don't think he has value anywhere else. So the Eagles have some leverage there. But if he wants to retire, then we're in trouble. But if he can stick around, that would be big, honestly, because then if he doesn't, I think you then need to go out and probably sign a lower level, like blocking type of tight end. Somebody like Anthony Fasano or something like that is not going to be flashy at all.
A guy who's competent.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which I don't know that you want to do that and go out and have to do that in free agency. So it'd be helpful if Selleck stayed this year at least. And then you might have to bring in, maybe draft somebody and Billy Brown. I guess it'll depend on the value if you're sitting there and there's a decent, because the tight end class is pretty good this year. I think
It is.
It's definitely not as good as it was last year. Last year was much more flashy with the big athletes like O.J. Howard and Joku and Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
This year you have more balanced tight ends like Gesicki and Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, but there's a fair number of them that could be pretty impactful players at the
Hayden
next level.
Hurst is another one from
That's
South
right,
Carolina.
yeah.
So it's pretty deep this year. So I mean, maybe they make a move before the draft and they end up picking a couple extra picks and they're able to address some of these needs. A lot of these players we're talking about are like second, third round talents, and those are the picks we currently don't have.
I would definitely be looking out for a trade down.
Doesn't mean we won't have them by the time draft comes, but we fortunately are picking 32 and don't have a second or a third, but
That's right.
plenty can happen between now and then. I mean, what's the draft in about a month and a half? End of April?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would
it's
you guys
just-
say is more important, tight end or safety at this point?
For us.
Oh,
I don't like the safety depth at all. I mean,
Yeah.
we've just been fortunate where they really haven't been that injured.
Right.
But
if
they're
there
both
was-
kind of locked in, and they're both paid. But if either gets hurt, you might just want to shift Jalen Mills over there because there's nothing else.
Yeah,
And also with
Watkins,
with all the stuff they asked Jenkins to do. Did you see a couple weeks ago? There was a stat I think the PFF put out about where Jenkins lined up throughout the season.
Oh yeah, he was like 20% linebacker or something.
I think it was more than it was really high.
Yeah.
It was almost like 30. I thought it was closer to 40%
Might
linebacker.
have been.
But he's almost never back. He's almost never back playing safety. That's primarily what McLeod's been doing. Jenkins has been linebacker. He's been in the slot. He's been all over the place.
With the amount of snaps we saw Corey Graham getting, as I would yell at the TV, why is this man on the field?
Yeah.
Like
Right,
third
and-
safety would be very useful.
Yeah.
And the way defenses are deploying these days, you have a guy. It's great to have a guy like Malcolm Jenkins to be able to come down and play in the box and be like that big nickel guy. But if you do that, you're going to need somebody else back. And when right now we have, Corey Graham, he was okay, he was adequate, but you ideally you'd like somebody more talented back there.
Yeah, I think you take a shot on a safety at some point. I mean,
You get yourself a Troy Apke out of Penn State.
There you go. Local boy.
He's a Blazer.
oh yeah, Penn State had all the Mike Mamulas out there this past week.
They sure did. So they should rename State College Spark City is what they should do.
So my question is, all right, so say we're looking at tight end. We consider somebody like Gesicki or DJ Shark. So somebody that was
Okay.
a combine wonder. DJ Shark ran a 4.34 40.
Hey, I like some of his film.
Had a 40-inch vertical leap. But in his entire career at LSU, scored 6 touchdowns. Now, I don't think Gesicki wasn't such a big example like that where production didn't match perhaps athletics. But Gesicki didn't. For a 4.54 and everything he did at the combine, I would have thought he'd been more prolific in college. So
I thought he was.
Are you guys How much does the combine matter to you versus production? DJ Chark, 6 touchdowns in 3 years. If you're a 4.3 40 guy, I don't care how bad your quarterback is. You need to score more than 6 touchdowns.
I want to know Sean's opinion here first.
I got you.
I have a lot in common with Chip, and I like the numbers.
See it.
I think the numbers are important, but I don't think there's a clear answer like across the board. I think it always depends on the situation. Somebody like DJ Chark, name like Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry weren't even that productive in LSU. The LSU just had a history of terrible quarterbacks. So somebody like him, it's hard to look at his production and be able to say anything significantly about it. But at the same time, you look at Jordan Matthews 4.5 or 4.4 5.40 and say, well, what the hell happened? He doesn't play to that speed. So I think it depends. I thought Gesicki was pretty productive at Penn State. I think what surprised people most about him, I think, started with the Senior Bowl, is that he just had this weird looking body. Everyone said he was most likely to have the dad bod of all the players going to the Senior Bowl.
No way.
But when he went up to get his weigh in, he was actually just shredded. And everyone was like, "Holy shit! I can't believe Gesicki looks that good." So ever since then, he's been kind of this wonder, just blowing everybody away with his measurables and everything. But yeah, I don't think there's a clear cut answer. I think they're important. Like, to me, it depends on the situation. I look at it depends on the position, depends on situations where things like the 3-cone drill or the shuttle for a linebacker, or the 10-yard split for the running back or for the offensive line are so much more important than the 40s and everything. I think it just depends. It's case by case. You have guys like DJ Chark, and then you have guys where the numbers just mean absolutely nothing. So it's hard to put them in the box and say one's more important than the other. I think they do. And the other thing with college offenses too, college offenses can be so erratic. You have no idea what. It's hard to take their production. You would look at their tape, yeah, but it's hard to look at their production and say, well, he didn't produce, so he's not. It's that it just doesn't match up sometimes.
Yeah. I mean,
like I think Matt Collins had like 10 catches in his career, something crazy like that.
Pretty much, you're not far off, yeah.
But he's obviously an NFL level receiver. He's obviously deserves to be where he is now. So it's hard to say.
So what do you guys expect out of him next year? I mean, do you expect at least what Torrey gave us this year? 30,
I do.
450?
I feel like he better cash in 40 catches.
He has to step up and
a couple scores, a couple big plays.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he's
take that mantle.
Yeah.
Every time he's been on the field, with the exception, I remember I can only remember one play that I think he had a drop, and it was like on a third down or something, and it sucked. But with the exception of that, I mean, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. It seemed on every time he was out there, he made the most of every opportunity. I think at a minimum he'll be Torrey Smith. I don't know that he'll be great or a big time difference maker, but I mean, it's not hard to top what Torrey Smith did.
Right.
Even if he's not going to have the drops. Without the drops, he's at least probably 40 in the 45 catch, 45, 50 catch range.
Yeah. I mean, I was as harsh a critic on Torrey Smith as anyone, but I thought he played pretty well in the playoffs, and he was more of an asset in the playoffs than he was in the regular season.
Absolutely,
he was.
Yeah.
He was a little bit more clutch.
He definitely stepped up.
But yeah, we can probably replace that with what we have.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. And just think about it, guys. This was the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Next week's the storm.
Yeah, nothing's really happened yet, so it'll be interesting to see as things move forward, kind of what kind of draft picks we pick up, who we're cutting, and how we're going to make all this work, because it's interesting right now.
Get down this cap number.
As T.O. would say, get your popcorn ready.
Howie's got there. He's getting it.
You know how everyone says once you win, everyone always said, well, if the Eagles just win a Super Bowl, I will never care I won't care what they do. I won't ever get mad at them again. Stuff like that. Well, that's about to be put to the test if they do something with Brandon Graham. We'll see what happens.
Blood's getting hot.
All right, so we'll take that up next week. Take a look at some of that other stuff as the week gets hotter. And anything else to add there, boys?
I think that's the show, guys. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Got it.
Have a fun first week of free agency.
That's
Fun
right.
week for free agency. What you got anything there, Sean, for the kids back home?
Nope. I'm good.
All right, that's it for us. Take care. Good night, and we love you. Beers and Birds is a Lounge Legends production. A free beer tomorrow and a $5 charge for whining. Hi there, you're my friend.
Let's give it a fucking shot.
Hey there, are you going to work? I hope so.